Hello fellow wanderers and welcome to Dreamforge. Dreamforge is a new tabletop role-playing experience and world-building project that's heavily sci-fi fantasy themed. It is set in an expansive universe with events primarily centered around the world of Drachar, a land of mythical monsters and enormous mechanized creations alike. In this place, creatures channel a mythical force called spirit energy, a deluge of strange power which manifests and flows through the worlds themselves and creatures alike. In this same way, others will utilize technology, tools, and vehicles to survive and thrive in their environment and against hostile forces. I've been working on this project for a while now, first running it as a modded 5e D&D adventure for some friends, and now, with them and a few others, we're working to bring it on a more complete picture for others to experience and enjoy. I'm admittedly not the best at YouTube editing, and development is somewhat slow as we all have other things we have to work on while we work on this. But I'd like to make more videos talking about the worlds, lore, and key players around the narrative and system. That way others can get a larger grasp on what's going on, in all those different topics and such. These videos won't be always the most heavily edited due to the aforementioned bad at editing thing, but I will use some visual aids whenever we have images from our artists, or make a video more sourced around some of those images to explain them a bit more. So in a short way, without going too deep into things, I want to set the stage for the world and adventure starting out. An event called the Great Rising War, named after the preceding era, was a conflict which raged across the world of Zakhar. Several major factions from across the planet began attacking one another over territorial disputes, lineage tensions, and a race for territorial claim of the many discovered Architekian vaults across the planet. These Architekian vaults are said to hold a trove of technological secrets of an ancient civilization known as the Architects, which once ruled the entire Dracharian sphere, but fell after the events of the fabled Sundering. Though these vaults' uncovering and exploration would spark technological and magical expansion, fueled synth arcane technology and spirit energy manipulation into new heights, conflict would ensue as the claims were made by various groups to these vaults and the subsequent island nations between the major powers. Along with that, the historical issues between certain groups would come to a head. The honed empire and noble Fey houses would rekindle their battles of old, and the maltreatment of Sylvan and Beastkin-related peoples across several major factions and nations, predominantly of the mortal Fey and celestial ties, would reach its breaking point. A full-scale conflict would unleash for over a decade, coating the world in the fires of what seemed to be a cascading conflict. However, many would grow fatigued of the tireless flames and endless blood, bringing an advent to the first guild team, who would later be known as the Guild Union Organization. They would be the catalyst for change, to turn a page to a new era, an organization that would become a major staple in the world's stability now, but at the time a more radical and unchained group of individuals, with massive amounts of power, spiritually, mentally, and physically, and by that merit, geopolitically. They had amassed a notoriety among some of the major contenders in the conflict, and after several revelations, negotiations, and battles, the Guild Union would instill peace of sorts across these lands. It has been nearly 15 years since the Great Rising War. The Guild Union's main role is now acting as a linchpin in more ways than is understood, to mainly prevent another conflict from brewing, or so we'd all like to think. Though time has progressed since the conflict, some stains of the past lie uncleaned. The inadequacies and ignorance of a past era fuels the maltreatment and aggression in the current. The revelations of scorn and sin lie restless below the unforeseen skies and waves, waiting to breach the brine and storm alike. This brings us to Lapsus, in many ways one of the primary causes of the strife in the last conflict, and is yet to turn its page to a new next chapter. Stuck in the fear of a new time, and the pestilence of an old which may spell its undoing. With many parties in the country poised to make their moves, the Guild Union, as well, attends to theirs. You. It is time to continue the story, as new wanderers approach and wayward souls from afar come to this land. What will come of your presence in the land of Lapsus? Will you succeed in turning the page, or fail like so many before? After all, it is your dream to fall.